So I realized I'm really terrible at making weekly videos, but I'm going to go over week 4 and 5 of AG BOLC. So I actually have the calendar pulled up, which makes it a little bit easier. So week 4, we had some classes, USR. We started learning about some of the systems, eMilpo, ODAS, TOTMIS, EDAS. We continued to have combatives, which a ton of people are getting injured. Like every time we have combatives, we lose like 2 people. It's crazy. And then we had our first test on week 4, Man the Forest test. The instructors gave us a really good review and I think helped us be prepared for the test. So I wouldn't worry about it. I ended up getting 100 on it. We had some PT and let's see, we had a leave and passes class. If you're not familiar with South Carolina, this weather is absolutely insane. So it'll be like cold and freezing and in the 30s, which is cold because I'm from San Diego. And then the next day it'll be like 70, sunny, and then the next day it's gonna be like pouring, and then the weather will just drop. It's crazy. So I think like a sickness has gone through almost every single person, including our instructor. He had the flu and everything, was out for a couple of days. So just be prepared. Like weather's insane. I would definitely bring some like supplements or something like echinacea, vitamin C, just to get you through the craziness and the yuck that you'll probably end up with. So week 4 wasn't bad. We've definitely had like a lot of, I could say like they want a lot of hua. So, that's been an adventure. We ended up not having, let's see, we did our 3-mile ruck. No, what did we start with? 3? Yeah. And then we didn't do the 4 because I think because our instructor was sick is why we didn't have it. And then we just did our 5-mile in week 5. Which if you have a lot of guys who are tall, like they want to go fast. So we did a 16-minute pace and I was like dying because I hate rucking. But I made it. Okay, so week 5, more combatives. We actually did mill pay. Which you do a mill pay course through Blackboard as well. So you kind of, it's like a, more in depth, like what's really important for you as an S1 mill pay. Postal operations, we did a postal tour. That was kind of cool because some people might have the opportunity to become a postal platoon leader. It's kind of more like a broadening assignment, not a key development position for a AG officer. And then of course we had our 5-mile ruck, and then we did awards. So our big assignment for week 5 is doing an award for an ARCOM. So I'm actually currently working on that right now. Last week we did a congressional response, which these papers are like pretty easy. Like as long as you have a good format and you're staying in the active voice, you should have no problem getting 100% on your papers. I think coming from like writing in college, the hardest part is just making sure you're always an active voice. And then definitely like looking at every little detail as like spacing and everything. And congressional response letters, very different from the memos. So you have to be very particular with the format. The ARCOM is actually a Form 638, DA 638. So that's pretty easy. You just have to write a lot of good stuff about yourself because you're making one for you. That's never actually going to be an ARCOM. And then we did evals. So like as an S1, a battalion S1, your priorities are going to be awards and evals. So they kind of flew through those. Like we had a day for each. And the weather ended up being really crazy. Thursday we had like tornado warnings and flooding and thunderstorm warnings. And it was really nuts. So all of like the area, the schools were let out early. SSI was let out early. We actually had just to go straight back to our hotels and chill there, which then took away even more time on evals. And we had to come in and go over it on Friday and then do an SR table brief in groups. So you kind of get a class on evals and then you're briefing the battalion commander on what his potential comments could be on as a senior raider. So it was a good experience, but I really wish we would have had more time and just gained more knowledge on awards and evals. Like, if those are the main things I'm going to be doing in my job that like affects all components, National Guard, Reserve, and Army, I really wish we would have spent almost like a week just on awards and evals, because trying to rush through and learn all of that, like, I feel I'm not as prepared as I could be on that. And it's such a big aspect of our jobs. Like, if we do evals and awards correctly, like, our battalion commander will be like, they've got it, right? That S1 knows what they're doing. But we didn't get that opportunity. It got rushed through. So, I mean, I'm sure I'll be doing plenty of them in the future. I just wish I would have gotten more instruction on that. Less combatives, less rucking, and more on like what my actual job's going to entail. Because if you're coming into AG BOLC, you already went through some sort of like, well, OCS or freaking whatever the ROTC does. But you already did a bunch of shit. You already rucked. You already did all that hoo-ah stuff. So why do we have to come into BOLC and do more hoo-ah? But it is what it is. Yeah. That's annoying. So far, thankfully, we haven't had any Saturday events. I know our class, I think the two classes that are here, we're actually preparing to do, like, we are adding it on ourselves to do a Saturday event to do practice land nav, because it's been a year since I've done land nav, and if you don't use it, you kind of lose it. So we're gonna do a practice land nav as the class, like whoever wants to go. And then I think we'll feel more prepared for when we actually do land nav. So we have week 6. It's kind of our last week in the classroom, which I know some people were like wanting to be outside. So for those who really want to be outside in the muck of things, yeah, they'll get that. So we have week 6 inside, and then we have 2 weeks of CAD week. Let me see, week 6. Oops, sorry. Week 6 and week 7 will be inside, like classroom stuff, doing some more briefs and tests. And then we go into 2 weeks of CAD week. CAD week will be at the range, and then I think we're doing land nav. So as you guys know, I'm also a breastfeeding mother. It's really been an adventure being here. I seriously could not do it without the Willow. It's like saved my life, because I just throw them in and go, and I have not had to miss a lot of class time. So that's been awesome. Since my daughter is in San Diego with my husband, I've been able to donate breast milk to 5 moms now, which is super exciting for me to be able to help out those moms, and also not let my liquid gold go to waste. So there is a lactation room that we use while we're in class, and I actually met 2 sergeants who just weren't producing enough, especially if you don't take the time to make sure you're pumping like every 3 hours. So I'm able to like help them out too, which is awesome. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is for when we're out in the field during CAD week. So I started, I'm a forward thinker all the way. So I emailed my instructor with things that me and one other person from the other class are going to need as a breastfeeding mom, and I'm hoping they'll be able to accommodate us, because I would really hate to pump and dump. It's such a waste. So we'll see what happens. I'm waiting to hear back from that, but I'll keep you guys updated. Because definitely being in the Army and being at a school during your breastfeeding journey is a process. Definitely. Let's see. Do I have anything to add? We went to a Brazilian steakhouse last night, and it was amazing. If you have the opportunity, I would do that. It's expensive, but so good. if I haven't said this already, like make sure you bring a decent amount of civvies, and it doesn't have to be like business casual because you're not really doing anything that's like class except for the social, which we went to a bowling alley, so we didn't have to be business casual. So like bring your clothes that you're comfortable in. And you have a ton of time like in the evenings and on the weekends to just do you and whatever you need to do. I always take the opportunity on the weekends to get my papers done. Not everyone does that, but it's helped me out a ton. And I know when I was in college, I was like last minute on everything, but because we wake up and our days are like 12 to 14 hours sometimes, like I don't have the energy to come home and try, or come to the hotel and try to write a paper. And like really focus on my words. So I always do them on the Saturday or Sunday. I was even writing it during the Super Bowl with one of my friends. We were just working on our papers during the second half. But just getting it done ahead of time. And then as everybody's like going through, and the academic advisor, the academic officer, like gets everybody's questions, then you can tweak it a little bit during the week. And then when it's due, like I usually have 2 submissions because they've like corrected stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's a good point. So I would totally take advantage and try to do your papers on the weekends because it just makes it easier for you, less stressful, and sleep is important, guys. I love sleep, so I'm always trying to sleep. We haven't really had PT as much as I originally thought we were going to. We haven't had any big like 3-mile runs every week like was in our that was in our welcome letter. And just because of the sicknesses and like disruptions, we haven't had PT. Either it was scheduled, like some of them got canceled. So yeah, that's been interesting. You just got PT on your own time. Ooh, and our ACFT we were supposed to have for week 5, we were supposed to have yesterday. There was just too much flooding and the high winds were like really crazy. So they ended up canceling the ACFT, and we're doing it in March, like the first week of March, which was actually the makeup ACFT. Because if you don't pass it the first time, you have to take it a second time. So I don't know if they're still planning on making us do it twice if we don't pass. But we'll see. I know some people were disappointed, but I wasn't, because just being 6 months postpartum, doing a leg tech is like literally almost impossible, but I'm gonna get there. Just let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them, but really I'm almost halfway through and it hasn't been too bad, other than missing my family like a ton. I have 3 kids, so I miss them a lot. All right, I'll fill you in hopefully next week if I remember, but it could be in 2 weeks.